What is the best melee weapon in Hypixel Skyblock? Well, for a period of time back in the day, it was probably the aspects of the dragons. The Shadow Fury was definitely in contention at some point. I mean, believe it or not, there was even a short period of time where the Valkyrie would have took the cake. I wonder how good that really is. Chimera 5 Valkyrie. I don't have 4.5 billion to spend. At the moment, it's hard to argue against the Dark Claymore. Its base stats include a ridiculous plus 500 damage, plus 100 strength, plus 30 crit damage, and also a plus 2 swing range. For 360 million coins, this sword is undoubtedly an absolute beast. But how good really is it? I bought one for myself. It's Soul Eater 5, it's not, you know, fully maxed, but it's got pretty much majority of the regular enchantments you'd want on there. Now, of course, holding the title of probably being one of the best melee weapons in the game, if not undoubtedly the best, it's only fitting that we test how much damage it can do with a melee hit. And it doesn't disappoint, dealing over 1.1 million damage on a singular hit to just a hub zombie, which is absolutely ridiculous. But honestly, that really is just the start. Let's take a look at what this thing can do in other aspects of the game. But before we do, if you are planning on purchasing anything from the Hypixel store, make sure to use code NITROS, it gets yourself 5% off. Also, you should subscribe to the channel, it does help out a lot. And you should join the Discord server, it's linked in the description of this video. We do slayers, and also dungeon carries, so if you want to get carried, or maybe carry and earn some coins, then make sure to join. And first of all, we're going to test this out against various slayers. First of all, we're going to start with a tier 5 Rev. Now, the great thing about this sword is if you pair it with Crimson Armor, the swipe ability also deals 3.4 million damage. Meaning that per hit, I'm dealing around about 4.5 million damage, which is insane. And we test it out against the boss. I'm going to test it again because that was really slow. Okay, we'll try and keep it on a flat surface this time. Hopefully we can see the real power of it. It's still a little bit slow, but I don't know, it's not too bad. It's not really that slow at all. And against the spider, yeah, I mean, spider's very easy anyway, but it's essentially a one-tap. Against a tier 4 wolf, yeah, that could definitely be a one-tap. I messed up, but anyway, yeah, very strong. Let's see, against mobs in the Crimson Isles. Well, not really much changes because we can still one-tap these mobs considering they only have 1 million HP. It just means that we kind of do a little bit more damage because of the Soul Eater. Not a huge change. I mean, it's obliterating these 1 million health mobs, as you would obviously think, considering we deal way more than 1 million damage per hit. As for some slightly stronger mobs, we still one-tap them. The TPS isn't amazing, actually. Why was that so difficult? But yeah, against some higher health mobs, some higher tier mobs were dealing 1.5, nearly 1.6 million damage, which is lovely. Then obviously plus the swipe, which isn't needed. Even against like mini bosses, it wasn't the most ideal boss fight I've ever done, but we didn't really take any damage. It probably took about 20 seconds. Kind of does the job. Okay, bearing in mind this is against blazes, we don't even have smouldering on it, and we can one-tap. That is ridiculous. We can actually one-tap them. The 5.5 million health blazes. Look at that. The swipe did over 4 million damage. That is crazy numbers. 4.1 million damage on the swipe. What's the actual raw damage? I can't actually tell. Oh, like 1.6. No, I can't see. The black smoke kind of was in the way. Try again. 1.5. 1.6. I mean, that's just insane. That really is insane. We just dealt over 6.5 million damage to a blaze. Like I said, pretty sure we don't even have smouldering on here. Why would we have smouldering? Imagine if we had smouldering. I mean, of course, this is not fit for purpose anyway. If you're killing blazes, you're better off using daggers. Wait, yeah, I'm just trying to show you. I mean, even against high health mobs, this is just stupidly overpowered. Now, of course, we can deal way over 1 million damage on our first hit, so killing ghosts isn't really an issue. I mean, at the end of the day, we're actually dealing like nearly 5 million damage, but we don't really need to at all. But potentially, if you did have lower magical power, then for sure the swipe is going to carry you through probably the rest of the damage with this Claymore. It's ridiculous. And the Dark Claymore is absolutely immense in dungeons, insanely versatile. Because its main base damage and stats are its straight up damage, of course we can use this as a mage weapon. So the Dark Claymore is really good for left click mage. But of course, because we have +2 swing range, it's also really good for Berserk. And of course, with the last update for dungeons and the shifting meta towards Berserk and all of the extra class buffs that you get, it's just crazily overpowered, which I will show you. So just straight off the bat, we're dealing like 30 million damage, which is just, honestly, the damaging figures are stupid. And of course, with the additional class bonuses that you get from Berserk now with the swing range, it's almost like it's just not a sword. Look how far away I can melee these mobs from. It's absolutely ridiculous. And obviously, one of the main reasons why people are using the Dark Claymore as Berserk is because, I mean, it's the optimal setup for swing range in dungeons as Berserk. So it kind of makes sense. See what we can do against this King Midas mini-boss. It's pretty difficult to hit, but this is just a skill issue. Rest assured. Okay, that was pretty quick. Now, the Dark Claymore is linked very tightly to the Giant Sword. The Giant Sword essentially just being its smaller brother, if I'm being completely honest. The Giant Sword is cheaper, but isn't as good. Yeah, it has very similar regular damaging stats. The Dark Claymore gives more crit damage. It also gives more strength. And it also gives more swing range. And I feel like that's pretty essential to what this weapon is. Especially for something that isn't really, or was never really considered somewhat of a Berserk weapon, dealing 30 million damage per hit in a floor 6 is quite impressive. Granted, my setup maybe, I think, could be worse than what you're going to use with it. It's just regular Necron in dungeons, and then with the Golden Dragon with a billion bank. So maybe it's a bit overkill, I don't know. But for those people who look at the Dark Claymore and think, you know, is it worth 350 mil for a base one? And then what, you're probably going to pay, I think I paid 420 mil or 450 mil for the one that I've got. You know, is it worth spending all those coins if you already have something like a Shadow Fury or a Giant Sword? And to be honest, for a long time, my answer would have probably been no. But this weapon is just so ridiculously versatile that it kind of becomes a steal for the amount of coins. Like, there aren't many other weapons that you can pick up for 350 million coins that you can do quite easily the main 3 Slayers, majority of the things in the Crimson Isles, dungeons, over 2 classes. The only other weapon that really comes to mind that could potentially do anything close to that would be something like a Hyperion, which is almost 2 billion coins. And for players relatively progressed into the game, I kind of think it's a must-have, honestly. Of course, that's money permitting. There's undoubtedly even more uses for the Dark Claymore. When I did testing on the alpha with Chimera 5, dealing even more damage, and of course if you have a G-Drag, giving you even more magic find too. Of course, that isn't a perk of the weapon, that's just simply an enchantment. Anyway, it would be interesting to hear what you guys think of the Dark Claymore in the comments. Is it worth the coins? I personally think it is. Are there any more uses for the Dark Claymore that you could think of that I haven't mentioned? Please let me know. I think the fact that it has dropped a little bit in price recently has probably helped its case in terms of value for money. But yeah, leave a comment. Anyway, if you did enjoy today's video, make sure you leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.